Hidden within the pages of history lie stories that scholars refuse to acknowledge. Tales where ancient rituals bleed into beloved fairy tales, where the line between folklore and forbidden knowledge becomes dangerously thin. What emerges challenges everything about stories told to children before sleep. Before we uncover the truth, subscribe for more disturbing findings. The winter of 1812 brought more than just Napoleon's retreat from Moscow. Deep within the German forests of Hesse, something far more disturbing was taking shape. Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, the brothers whose names would become synonymous with childhood wonder, were documenting stories that would later be sanitized beyond recognition. Their original manuscript, discovered in the basement of the University of Göttingen in 1953, contained versions of tales that bore little resemblance to modern adaptations. Among these, the story known today as Snow White revealed connections to practices that academic circles have systematically suppressed. The brothers had encountered an elderly woman named Marguerite Burmer in the village of Steinau and Derstrasse. Local records, preserved in the municipal archives, describe her as a practitioner of what villagers called the old ways. Her account of the Snow White tale contained elements that suggested knowledge of actual occult ceremonies performed in the region centuries earlier. Burmer's version included specific details about the magic mirror that aligned disturbingly with historical accounts of scrying practices. Medieval texts from the area describe the use of obsidian mirrors in divination rituals, objects that practitioners believed could reveal hidden truths about mortality and beauty. The mirror's responses in the original tale were not simple vanity checks, but invocations that followed the precise structure of necromantic questioning. Archaeological evidence supports the existence of these practices. Excavations near the Spessart forest in 1978 uncovered a stone chamber containing 7 small coffins arranged in a perfect circle. Each coffin measured exactly 4 feet in length, too small for adult humans, but too large for children. Carbon dating placed their creation in the 14th century, during a period when local church records document unusual deaths attributed to unnatural sleeping sickness. The number 7 appears repeatedly in occult traditions of the region. Alchemical texts from the period describe 7 stages of transformation, each requiring a symbolic death and rebirth. The dwarfs in the original tale were not miners seeking gems, but guardians of these transformation stages, each representing a different aspect of the soul's journey through death. Contemporary accounts from the Holy Roman Empire describe a practice called the glass sleep, where individuals were placed in transparent coffins and subjected to herbal preparations that induced death-like states. Participants believed this process would preserve their essence while allowing spiritual purification. The survival rate was documented as extremely low. The apple, central to the Snow White narrative, connects to even darker historical practices. Botanists have identified references to a specific variety of apple that grew only in the graveyards of certain German monasteries. These fruits, called Totentanz or death dance apples, contained naturally occurring compounds that could induce paralysis, resembling death while maintaining consciousness. Monastery records from the 15th century describe experiments conducted by Brother Heinrich von Würzburg, who documented the effects of these apples on subjects he termed the beautiful damned. His notes, preserved in the Vatican secret archives, detail how consumption of the prepared fruit could maintain physical appearance indefinitely, while the subject remained in a state between life and death. The stepmother's transformation into the evil queen takes on new significance when viewed through the lens of historical witch trials. Court documents from the Wurzburg witch trials of the early 17th century describe a woman named Anna Margaretha Schwegelin who confessed under torture to using mirrors for communication with entities she called the Watchers beyond the glass. Schwegelin's confession, recorded in excruciating detail, describes rituals involving the consumption of human hearts to maintain youth and beauty. She claimed to have learned these practices from the old mothers who had preserved knowledge from pre-Christian times. Her execution took place in a manner that mirrors the fate of the evil queen in the Grimm tale, involving red-hot iron shoes that caused her to dance until death. The huntsman's role in the story connects to historical records of the wild hooter forest guardians who served dual roles as protectors and executioners. These men were bound by ancient oaths to maintain the balance between the human and supernatural worlds. Documents from the Bavarian State Archives describe their involvement in ritualistic killings designed to appease what they termed the hunger of the green places. Physical evidence of these practices emerged during construction work near Frankfurt in 1987. Workers discovered a cache of hunting implements buried alongside human remains that showed signs of careful preservation. The hearts had been removed with surgical precision, supporting historical accounts of ritualistic organ harvesting. The Prince's Kiss, interpreted in modern versions as True Love's Awakening, originally served a different purpose entirely. Medieval texts describe a practice called the Breath of Judgment, where designated individuals would determine whether someone in the death-like state deserved return to full life. This decision was based on criteria that remain unclear, though surviving fragments suggest it involved the subject's willingness to serve specific purposes upon awakening. Linguistic analysis of the original German text reveals that the word translated as kiss more accurately meant claiming or taking possession. This suggests the prince's role was not romantic rescue, but supernatural acquisition of the preserved individual for purposes the sanitized versions have carefully obscured. The most disturbing connections emerge from comparing the Grimm manuscript with contemporaneous accounts of actual disappearances. Church records from multiple German parishes document cases of young women vanishing under circumstances that closely parallel the Snow White narrative. These disappearances clustered around areas where the old forest practices were known to continue, despite official prohibition. In 1796, authorities in the Thuringian forest investigated the disappearance of 7 young women over the course of a single winter. Witnesses reported seeing them in the company of small, dark-clad figures who led them into the deeper woods. Search parties found evidence of underground chambers containing glass-topped stone boxes, but the women were never recovered. The investigation was abruptly terminated when the lead investigator, Captain Friedrich Müller, reported encounters with what he described as watchers in the trees who seemed to move independently of natural law. His final report, classified until 1975, contains sketches of symbols carved into trees that match exactly those found in medieval grimoires describing summoning rituals. Modern analysis of these symbols reveals they form a complex magical system designed to bind spirits to physical location. The pattern suggests the forest itself was transformed into a kind of supernatural prison where entities could be contained while maintaining influence over the physical world. The Grimm brothers' decision to sanitize these stories for publication was not merely editorial preference, but apparent response to pressure from sources they never publicly identified. Letters discovered in Wilhelm's personal effects mention the watchers of the old knowledge who had made their displeasure known regarding the brothers' research into authentic folk practices. I.e., Wilhelm's final diary entry, written just days before his death, contains references to dreams where he was pursued through endless forest corridors by figures wearing crowns of black glass. He wrote of mirrors that showed not reflections but scenes of underground chambers where the beautiful and the damned waited in transparent coffins for judgments that would never come. The sanitized version of Snow White became a cultural phenomenon precisely because it retained enough of the original's power to fascinate while concealing the darker truths that gave it meaning. The story's enduring appeal stems from its connection to fears and desires that operate below conscious awareness, touching on the human obsession with preserved beauty and the price of transcending natural limitations. Recent investigations into the historical foundations of the tale have been systematically discouraged by academic institutions. Researchers who have attempted to access the original Grimm manuscripts report bureaucratic obstacles that seem designed to prevent serious examination of the documents. What do you think really happened in those German forests centuries ago? Was Snow White simply a fairy tale or evidence of something far more disturbing? Subscribe to uncover more hidden truths that history has tried to bury.